As you can see, Pateo TV is broadcasted every Thursday. At least it's Thursday now in my time zone. Actually, it's Thursday evening, 7 p.m. in GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And it's a weekly show, weekly 2 hours live television brought to you via CCN. If you want to know more about my background, my work, then you can go to this website, pateo.nl. And there you find a lot of more information about what I call holy science. And this will also be another episode about holy science. If you have any questions for me during this episode or maybe before the next one, you can always send me an email. This is my email address, johan@pateo.nl. This was the previous episode, actually the first episode of Pateo TV. It was all about the Clock of Giza, meaning the interpretation of the buildings on the Gizeh Plateau in ancient Kemet, where they built. They're now, of course, still lying in what is called Egypt, near the city of Cairo. And it had everything to do with the dimensions of time. This broadcast explained that there are 3 dimensions of time, and especially the third one was explained more in this first episode of Pateo TV. If you've not watched it, I recommend you to watch it. If you're not watching this live, then please stop it. Stop this broadcast or stop this watching of this video and look it up. You can easily find it on pateo.nl if you click on Pateo TV, because I will build on what has been presented in the first episode of Pateo TV. And I will also build on what was presented by me last week when we talked about mostly the second dimension of time, meaning the astrotheology and what the 12 signs of the zodiac actually mean. And again, if you've not watched that part and you're not watching this live, then please stop it now and watch that previous part, because otherwise you will miss a lot of important things I will explain in this presentation. Okay, so now we're here. This is the subject of this broadcast. It's about the book of Genesis, actually the first chapter of that book, and that chapter is called The Creation. And that's the first chapter of not only the book of Genesis, but it's also actually the first chapter of the Bible, because it starts with the book of Genesis, but also the Torah also starts with the same chapter, the same book of Genesis. And some claim that the first 5 books are together also a book of Moses. And of course, this is then also the first chapter of that book. So it's a very, very important chapter. And I will explain in detail what that chapter is all about. And as I said also in the previous episode, it has nothing to do with belief or faith or religion. It has everything to do with science. It's a scientific paper, actually. It's a scientific description. And that's what I will explain in this episode of Pateo TV. Next week, I will talk about hidden symbolism, covert symbolism, not only on the back side of the $1 US bill. There's a lot of symbolism that I think is very important for us to understand what it's all about. But there are also many feature films, and they are full of symbolism. Of course, there's a lot of entertainment for us, a lot of action, and if you look at only the action, then the story ends there for you. But the moment you understand that there is much more than meets the eye, so to say, there is a hidden layer of meaning, then it becomes really fascinating. Holy Science also explains these 5 very important feature films. Or sometimes there are a series of films, like The Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, The Matrix, Avatar, and The Maze Runner. And I will also go into detail about Star Wars, because that's also there in the presentation. So, yeah, if you are interested in this, and I would strongly advise you to be interested in it, because it's very important for every one of us, then I'll advise you to tune in next week, same time, same station, CCN, and you can see this live presentation also. I will start by explaining body and healthy body and strong body and body that is capable of doing all kinds of things. In order to do that, in order to keep our body healthy and fit, we must train it. We must keep it healthy and fit by good nutrition, and exercising. That's very important. If we don't do that, then of course our body starts to degenerate. And the very same is true with our mind. Also, our mind needs training. Train your brain. Also, your mind needs stimulants, stimulation, and also your mind needs good food. It's the very same. And what do I mean by good food for your mind? Good information that stimulates your thinking, that stimulates your thought processes, and that helps you to get a better perspective or a broader perspective or a different perspective on many, many things. So it's very important that you keep your mind active. And that's actually the opposite of what happens when most people are watching television, because instead of becoming more active in your mind, training your brain, the brain becomes less and less functioning, starts to function less and less. And actually people are dumbing down because of that. Fortunately, there is something like CCN, and I think many colleagues of mine, and of course myself too, we are trying to stimulate your thinking, your understanding of the world. And instead of dumbing you down, we want to help you educate yourself, become a smarter person, and become more mindfulness. So there's a huge similarity between the body and the mind, and everything that is true for the body is also true for the mind. In order to stay in a good condition, mentally and physically, we need exercise, we need training, and we need good food. For instance, can you imagine that the man here in the upper right-hand corner could beat this guy in running a marathon? I don't think you will think that. At least I will bet a lot of money if I was a bettor, but I'm not, that he will probably not win from this guy, because yeah, you can see his physique is totally different, and yeah, what we see on the way he's eating and what he's probably doing, putting some chips in his mouth while he's watching television, that's not a really healthy lifestyle. I think we all know that. So the chances that he will win a marathon with a good competition is zero, is absolutely zero. How would this guy try to explain him what he did, what strategy he used to win? Will he be able to somehow bring that through to him? Will he have any idea what he's talking about? I don't think so. Here we see a chess grandmaster, and probably he was the best chess player ever, because I'm talking about Mr. Bobby Fischer. And this is just a random guy who's not too clever, so to say, not too smart. Would Mr. Fischer been have able to explain his opening strategy or his strategy in general to this guy? No, I don't think so. And that's the problem that I encounter, that I see for holy science. I'm trying to explain holy science now for many years, and only a very few handful of people are able to get it. And for the most people, it's like what is this facial expression of this guy. Yeah, they scratch on their head because they have no clue what I'm talking about. I do hope that what I'm saying in this broadcast or the previous ones or the ones that are coming, you will not have this kind of response. I hope that you will be able to get the most of what I'm trying to say, and hopefully everything. And of course, yeah, I think it should be clear, but in order to become a great chess player like he was, we need a lot of practice, we need a lot of exercise, and we need a lot of training. We have to invest a lot of time before we get it. And then it will become joyful, then it will become a true pleasure. The same is here for him. It's a true pleasure of winning this tournament, this marathon, this game, this match. But before that, he trained a lot. He must have trained a lot in order to become this fast, this good. And the same is true for holy science. It requires a lot of training. I'm telling you now what I've discovered, but please do your own training. Study anything you want. Go as deep as you want, and do calculations as I did, and combine things and look from different perspectives. Chew it with your own brain, so to say, in order to come to an understanding that is good for you, that's working for you. Yeah, because I repeat it again, and I cannot repeat it too many times, I think. Holy science is the rock, and on that rock we can build our own house, our own mental understanding of how the world really functions, how the world really is. It's not the way the universities try to tell us, or the religions, or the media, the mainstream media. The world is actually quite different. And in order to get an understanding of the true nature of this world, of this reality we live in, you need to start from afresh, from ground zero, so to say, from the base. And that base is holy science. And then you can start building it step by step by yourself. But you're the only one who can make your own mental understanding. You're the only one who can reach that level for yourself. Nobody can help you. I cannot help you with that. I can tell you about my house and what I built, and you can try to copy it, but that will not help you much. What will help you is understanding how I build it and the principles that I used. And you can copy those principles, but still you have to do your own building. And if you don't do that, then you will create a house like this. Everything that has been taught at schools, universities, religions, the mainstream media, the hospitals, so-called care, healthcare, all those ideas, all those structures, they are built on sand. They are not solid. They are not strong. So if you go along with all those ideas, those concepts, then you will one day get into trouble. One day your house will collapse. Most of the time that happens when people become seriously ill. And then they start to understand, oh, perhaps what I've been told so far is not the truth. And it's true, it's not the truth. So you can wait until your own house crumbles down, falls apart, but maybe it's better to leave your house now and just forget about it and start a new house, completely new. Forget everything you've been told at school or the university or everything else. Just forget it. And then you start afresh from everything you know as a fact or everything that is 100% logical for you. And then you can start building your own house. So that's what I wanted to say before I start with this this broadcast on the first book of Genesis, because again, it's very true here. You can believe everything I'm telling here, and you may think that I'm telling the truth, but then you're in great danger. Yeah, as you probably also are in great danger when you believe what the pastors are telling you, or the universities, or anything else. Do not believe a single word I'm telling here today. And I'm very serious about it. Do not believe a single word. And if I can give you another advice, do not believe a single word of anybody else anymore either. Stop believing and start to understand. Okay. The work, what I'm presenting here is based on the work of Mr. Wiseman. Actually, his name was Percy John Wiseman, and he lived from 1888 until 1984. And he was not a scholar by education. He was what we call an amateur. He was actually in the military. He was a British air commander, and he was stationed in Iraq. And there he started to study the clay tablets because he was fascinated by them. And he was an autodidact. He learned himself how to read those clay tablets. And step by step, he understood more and more about that part of our history. And then he finally realized that the structure of the chapter, the first book of Genesis, the book of Genesis, that the structure of that book was not correctly given in the Bible, because the divisions in chapters doesn't make any sense at all. I will come back to that. And when he discovered that, he wrote a book to explain that to other people. And that book was published originally in 1936. But that book didn't get a lot of attention because it was, I think, he came far too close to the truth, and the people who want to control this reality do not want us to know the truth. So he was not really welcome, so to say. But fortunately, his son, this is his name, Donald John Wiseman, his son, he became later a professor of Assyriology at the University of London. And he continued in the line of work of his father. And he made sure that this book was eventually fully published and better published in 1985. And if I'm correct, then you can still purchase this book. And it's a very, very important book. Yeah, so the son of P.G. Wiseman, D.G. Wiseman, he was able to bring this work further. And that is what we are talking about now. So it has a very solid basis. It's not some fantasy as most people think. It's very true. Most people think that the Bible was originally written in Hebrew, and that is about, let's say, 2,500 years old. That assumption is wrong, and especially for the first part of that book, because the first, about half of the book of Genesis was not written in Hebrew at all. The original part, the original version of those stories, they were written in cuneiform, on clay tablets, and they are at least twice as old, as I assume. Yeah, let's say they were written about 5,000 years ago, so much older. So those stories, which I'm going to talk about here as well, those stories have nothing to do with Canaan or Judaism or Christianity or anything, because they date much further back in time. So these are yeah, you can call these are the prehistoric, that's not the correct word, but they are the most ancient stories that we have. And that's why they were copied and written down later in the collection of the books that is known as the Bible. And in total, there were 11 original stories written on clay tablets in cuneiform. And each of those original stories ended with a standard sentence. And the standard sentence always was, this is the Toledoth of, and then explaining from which perspective that story has been written down. So it's always the ending sentence, just like when we go to the movies and we see the end. The end means the end of the film. This is also what we see here. This is the Toledoth of. This is, you can call it ancient Sumerian or cuneiform for the end. This is the Toledoth of. And sometimes we can translate Toledoth as the account of family history. In most cases that is true, but in some cases it's not true, because it has nothing to do with human beings. And that is actually the first story, which I'm going to talk about. And then we can better say this is the historical account of. Yeah, perhaps you're familiar with the Enuma Elish, a classical story. It was also originally written down on 7 clay tablets. That was an original story. And here I think that each story was also written down on clay tablets. We can say that there were 11 clay tablets, and they were all later on copied into Hebrew and then, yeah, somehow integrated in the Bible. But they have nothing to do again with Hebrew or Judaism or Canaan or whatever. These are the 11 original stories. And this is the beginning of the book of Genesis. Actually, the demarcation is Genesis 37, verse 2, in the beginning of verse 2. That is the ending part of the 11th story. And before that, you can see these are the 11 perspectives from which they were written down. Yeah, this is the Toledoth of, and the first one is the heavens and the earth. I'll come back to that. The second story ends with, this is the Toledoth of Adam. And this is the Toledoth of Noah. And this is the Toledoth of the sons of Noah, and so on. And here you can see the chapters of Genesis, and you see that it doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, actually, there should be 11 chapters instead of 37. So I think when we have the knowledge from which Mr. Wiseman explained to us, then we should restructure completely the book of Genesis. And maybe we should even make 2 books out of it, because the remaining part of Genesis, chapter 37, and then the second half of the second verse until the ending, meaning chapter 50, verse 26, that was originally written down on papyrus. And that probably comes from, I don't know where, maybe ancient Kemet, or not clear from where it comes, but at least it didn't come from ancient Sumer or that's part of the world. So the first 11 chapters were written in cuneiform, and then they were written on papyrus. So now let us go to the first chapter, the first story actually. And I think that first story is also the most important story ever, because it's not an historical story. It's actually a scientific explanation of the structure of the whole of reality. And that's why it's so important. If you fully understand this first story, this first chapter of Genesis called the creation, then you understand the structure of the creation. And that story ends with this sentence: this is the historical account of the heavens and the earth, when they were created. Yeah, it says historical account. I translated that, but probably we should even say it something different. Originally, it was the Toledoth of. So it's a kind of description from the perspective of the heavens and the earth, and it's all about when they were created. It's the creation, and that's why the title of this chapter is also the creation. But the correct ending of that chapter has to be after Genesis 2 and then the beginning of verse 4. That is the ending of the story. And in that Genesis 2 verse 4, there we find this sentence. And most of the time it's not completely correctly translated, because sometimes the S of heavens is missing. And then it says the heaven, as if there was only one heaven, which is not true. In total there are 7 heavens. 7 heavens. That's the meaning. And then it starts like this. The story starts with, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Again, there has to be an S here. Multiple heavens. Actually, there are 7 heavens, and one of those heavens is earth. So we could also say, in the beginning, God created 7 heavens, and then stop. But to make it clear from our perspective, because we live on this planet, it is stated explicitly also the earth. What is this? This is in fact the abstract. And that's very good procedure for scientific papers. You always start with the abstract. And if you like the abstract, then you read the full paper. This sentence is the abstract of the whole story, of the first story, because it's all about the creation of the heavens, of which one is the earth, by God. And what God is the creational force, so to say. Yeah, it's not a man with a long beard. That's definitely bollocks. It is the principle of creating naturally. You can say that is God. Later on in another episode, I will come back on that. And the structure of that story, that first original story, is very clear. Actually, you could say it's extremely structured. And I'm myself very fond of structure, so I can fully appreciate it. It starts by day 0. And day 0 is actually the day before the creation started. And that is about heaven number 7, the 7th heaven. And in the 7th heaven, there has no creation been done, because the creation starts below heaven 7. The creation is done from heaven 7, and then it goes downward. So the first part of this story is what happens in day 0, before the creation actually started. Then the second part of the story is all about what happens during day 1. And during day 1, heaven number 6 is created, the heaven directly beneath heaven 7. Again, heaven 7 was already there. God did not create heaven 7, because heaven 7 is actually the same as God. And from that highest level, God created a heaven below that highest heaven, and that's heaven number 6. That happened on day 1. On day 2, another heaven was created below that. So that's heaven number 5. And then it goes on. On day 3, heaven number 4 was created. On day 4, heaven number 3. On day 5, heaven number 2. And finally, on the last day of creation, heaven number 1 was created. That's actually the lowest heaven. So it goes from top to down. It's very important that you understand it. Creation is always top down. The way people create here on this planet is sometimes a bit different, but I will not go into that. If we look at the natural creation structure, it's always top down. And now we can go to the scale, because these are the 7 tones of the scale. And most of us can memorize it, but only from bottom to up. Re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. Some people say here T, but that's not correct. It has to be C. C is the correct way of referring to this tone. But from the perspective of God, from the highest level, it's do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re. So it starts with do, then it goes to si, then to la, then to sol, then to fa, then to mi, and finally to re. And underneath this re, we find another do. And that do is actually the same as this do. We can call this do everything, and we can call this do nothing. And now we can see that God is actually everything and nothing at the same time. Our mind is not able to understand that. But if you understand this scale, then you can see that this has to be another do, but there is nothing here. And that is true. This do is nothing, and this do is everything. So what do these strange words do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re mean? Most of the people, I think nearly everyone, does not know that these are not real words. These are abbreviations. Abbreviations of Latin words. And when you understand those Latin words, then it becomes clear what actually this whole story is all about. Because do is an abbreviation of dominus. It's a Latin word. Si is an abbreviation of sidera. La from lactea. Sol is not an abbreviation, it's a word. It means sol. Sol is a Latin word. Fa is from fata. Mi is from microcosmos. And re is from regina. The only thing we now need to do is find the meaning of these Latin words. Dominus, we have it in the English word to dominate. Dominus refers to the Lord. Or we can also say the owner. The owner of everything is God. God the Lord Almighty. We are all familiar with these words, but what do they mean? Well, it means that God created the heaven and the earth, so that means God is the owner. God is the owner of everything that has been created naturally. Then we go to sidera. Sidera, actually the word sidera in Latin means stars. So this is a reference to all the stars. And all the stars is of course our universe. So this is the level of our universe. This is higher than the universe because the Lord, God Almighty, is bigger than the universe. And then we find the universe. And then we go to lactea. And lactea means milk or milky. So it's our Milky Way, our galaxy. And our galaxy is part of the universe. And then we go to Sol. Sol is Latin for the sun. So it's a reference to our solar system. So Sol is our solar system, which is a part of the galaxy, which is a part of the universe. Then we go to Fata. And the Latin word Fata means the same as the English word fate. And our fate is written in the stars. Actually, our fate is written in the planets, as I explained in the previous episode of Pateo TV. The 7 wandering lights, they are influencing our fate, or like we like to call it, our fate. So it's our planetary system. And our planetary system is part of our solar system. Then we have the microcosmos in Latin, or in English microcosm. And the microcosm is the planet that we live on. We can say the universe is the macrocosm, the big cosmos, and this is the small cosmos. And then finally we have Regina, and Regina means to rule, or regent, the regent. And the regent at this level, I will explain it later, is the moon. The moon is the regent at the lowest level, and it's about our lunar system. And our lunar system is part of our planetary system, and our planetary system is part of our planet system, is part of our planetary system, and so on. So we can also depict it like this, with the Matryoshka dolls from Russia, the nested dolls. God is the biggest doll of them all, so to say. And when we would open that doll, then we find our universe. Some people claim there are more than one universes. Maybe that's true. But there is at least one universe. That's our universe. And in our universe, there are many galaxies. Hundreds of millions. And one of those galaxies has our own star system. The Milky Way, our own Milky Way. And in that, our Milky Way, there are hundreds of millions of solar systems. And one of those solar systems is our own solar system. And in that solar system, there are many planets. And they form another system as well. And one of those planets is our home planet. And that home planet is accompanied by a moon. And they also form a system. So this is a kind of 7 worlds in each other. We could actually say we are living in 7 worlds at the same time. That means if you're conscious of it. If you're at this level of consciousness, then you are conscious of everything under you or in you. But most people have a consciousness at this level, at this lowest level. And they are only conscious of the flat world that we live in. They have no consciousness about what is higher there. They only think this is the world. They live in a very small, limited world. And here you live in the broadest world there is. This is what I call the whole world. Holy science is the science at this level, the highest level possible. So now we go to the scripture. What is written in the scripture? It starts with, now, after the abstract, now the earth was unformed and void. What does that mean? It means that the earth, which is actually the second layer from the bottom, the earth is not formed yet. There is nothing here. Yeah, we cannot see the dotted white lines. I just put them there so that you can see where it will become. But it's not there yet. So it's not formed yet. It's a void. It's empty. Nothing is here. So the earth was not formed. That's the first sentence, the meaning of the first sentence. And then it says, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. What does that mean? Well, the deep is here. What is black here, that is deep. The deep, that means the heavens below the seventh heaven. And they are not there yet, so it's deep. Like we're looking in a well, very deep, and we cannot see the bottom. That's what would have been that was what God would have seen if God looked before the creation started down, from the seventh heaven down. Nothing. Darkness. There was darkness upon the face. This is the face, this horizontal line is the face of the deep, and there was darkness because under here there is nothing. It's all dark. And then it says, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters. The Spirit of God. Actually, there's a Trinity. God, the Creator, that what God has created, we can also refer to that as the Son, and the God who creates is the Father, and in between the process of creation, that is the Spirit. So it's the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, or the Creator, the process of creation, and the result of creation, the creating. That has been created, sorry for the confusing words. So it's Creator, creating, and created. That's the Father, the Spirit, and the Son. So the Spirit of God is hovering. That means the process of creation is underway. It's going on. It has not created a result yet. That will start soon. But it says it's already, the process has already started. So any moment now we can see the first result. And that result will be the waters, because it's hovering over the face of the waters. So the waters will be the first result of the creation. And what does waters mean? Waters means actually that what is flowing through the universe. And what is flowing through the universe, that is light. Everything, I repeat, has to do with light. All creation comes from light. Light is the most important thing. It starts with light, and from that light, everything else follows. So, of course, the creation starts with the lights, creation of the lights. But in ancient scripture, they were referred to as the waters, as we can see in our reality that life originates from water. From water, life comes forth, so to say. And the same principle is true in the universe, but then the waters are light. I hope you can follow what I'm saying here. So whenever you encounter the word waters in this ancient story, simply replace it by light, and then you will get the meaning. Then we go, this was all day zero. So the creation has not started here. This was all, you can say, preparation phase. Now we get the first result. The first result of the creation is the creation of the heaven number 6. And the heaven number 6 is directly beneath heaven number 7. This is what we read in the scriptures. And God said, let there be light. And that's actually also the key here. The light has been created. And what does light? Light brings the division between where is light, we can call it day, and where is no light, that's called night. So actually what has been created here on the first day is the duality between light and darkness, or between yin and yang. It's the same thing. At the highest level, at this level, the highest level of God, there is no duality. Here is only wholeness, only oneness. There is no division. Everything here is one. But the division starts here, the simple division into two parts, a yin and a yang part, a day and a night part, a light and a dark part. It's all the same. So that was created on the first day, the division between light and darkness. Or we can say the division between the stars and everything that is not a star. The duality between those two, light-giving heavenly bodies and not light-giving heavenly bodies. And this is what we see here. This is actually the duality between light and darkness. The light dots, they produce light, the stars produce light, and in between we see darkness. So this is the duality at the level of heaven number 6. And this is what we know about our universe. It looks a bit like a sphere, gigantic sphere. And the diameter of that sphere is 150 billion light years. Now that's a little bit of a trouble for the people who believe in the Big Bang Theory, because they say the Big Bang happened about 13.7 billion years ago. But in 30.7 billion years ago, light could only have traveled until about here. Yeah, this is about 5 times as far. So if the Big Bang would have happened here, and there is something here, then that would have traveled 5 times the speed of light, if you can follow what I'm saying. So that's a bit of trouble. And that's why they came up with a ridiculous solution. They say there was not only one Big Bang in the middle, there were many, many Big Bangs everywhere. Now, to me, that's such a silly, stupid story. I cannot buy into that at all. So I think the Big Bang Theory is science fiction. It's not true. I refer to the ruler at this level as Tao. Tao to me is the division between yin and yang. Yeah, this is the symbol of Tao, the symbol of yin and yang. Or I have to say Dao. Sorry, Dao. And to me, Tao is the ruler of our universe. And universe for me means one song, Uni means one, and verse is a song. So we can say she is the director, or she is the singer of our song, or she's giving the pace. Then we go to day 2. And in day 2, we see this in the scripture. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. So again, the waters means light, and there is something in the middle of the lights. In the middle of the lights, there is something that is different from the rest of the light. That's what it says, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament. So there is something related to the stars, related to the lights in the universe that is different, that is separated. And divided the waters which are under the firmament from the waters which are above the firmament. So there is something above it and something below it. And God called the firmament heaven. Actually, if I would correct this ancient translation, I would say God called this fifth heaven Milky Way, because that's actually the name, the Milky Way. That's all about. The waters in the midst, that's our own galaxy, the Milky Way, Lactea, La. So that is what we can see when the night is bright enough, so there are no clouds, and we are close to the equator, I think, then we can see it more clearly. This horizontal line here, this diagonal line, that is in fact our own galaxy. Those stars belong to the same group, and these stars are from different galaxies, other galaxies, and sometimes they are complete galaxies by themselves. This is an artist's impression of a galaxy. You can see the arms, and they're spiraling inwards, or you can also say the spiral outwards, but at least there is a spiraling movement, and it's going round. In this case, it's going very slowly clockwise round. And this is what we would see from the side. Yeah, this is now the same spiraling movement. It's a kind of pancake, a flat disc, but in the middle of that flat disc, there's a kind of sphere. It's a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's flat, but in the middle there's something. Yeah, the core is actually bigger. So this is a little bit how our own galaxy looks like. Again, it's not a true picture. This is just an artist's impression of how it probably looks like, but we're not completely certain. And make very sure there is no black hole in the center. That's also science fiction nonsense. The whole idea of black holes is totally nonsense. You can easily forget about it. Simply understand that the universe is electric, and then we can delete all the nonsense about that gravity is the main force and so on, which is absolutely not true. But that will go too deep for here. Just understand that there is a lot of light in the center of the galaxy. Of our galaxy, the diameter is about 1,000 light years. And the thickness in the middle of the pancake is about 3,000 light years. And we are about 26,000, where's my mouse? We're about 26,000 light years away from the center. And the ancient Maya referred to the center of our own galaxy as Hunab Ku. And the Maya name Hunab Ku actually means the one giver of movement and measure. So he's giving us movement because he's turning around. The whole system is turning around. And measure, distance. We can also say movement is about time and measure is about space. So Hunab Ku is our giver of time and space. Our understanding of time and space is based on Hunab Ku. And that's why he was worshipped by the ancient Maya. And what you see here is an ancient carpet from the ancient Maya. And we can say this is a kind of symbol that is referring to Hunab Ku. Yeah, it looks a bit like the yin and yang. It's also duality, but there's more to this. So we can say this is probably an image of our solar system, our Milky Way, of our star system. Yeah, you can see here the spiraling arms. in this beautiful symbol. This is a true picture of a galaxy. This is how it really looks like. This is not our own galaxy because we cannot send something far away to take a good picture, but we can take a good picture from Andromeda. That is our neighbor. Yeah, that's the star system that's closest by to us. And actually we are spiraling around each other, but that's also too far for this presentation. So this is how it truly looks like. And again, you see a lot of light in the center. And when you want to see in the heavenly sky the constellation, the galaxy of Andromeda, then you go to the constellation of Andromeda, and you have here Cassiopeia. You make here a little arrow. You imagine the arrow, and then you see here something of a smog. Well, that is actually a complete star, star system. So what I'm pointing at now here is actually this. When you would zoom in many, many times. But for our naked eye, it looks like this. But this is actually a star system. Then we go to day 3. A lot of words, but the essence for now, because there are many layers in the story, but I'm focusing now on the structure. And then we only need to know this. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together onto one place. So the waters is again the lights, and the lights are gathered into one place. They are brought together in one place. And that is exactly what happens every day. Because during the day, it looks like all the stars from the night are gathered together into one place and make a really big light. And then after nightfall, they are scattered around the whole sky and they are tiny little lights again. But in daytime, it looks like they are gathered together. And that light is so bright that we can no longer see the other lights. And of course, I'm talking about this light here, in the center of our own solar system. Yeah, when this light is shining on the surface of the planet where we are at that moment, that light is so bright, we cannot see any other light in the universe anymore. Then the lights are gathered together into one place. So that's what it is, what it means. Gathered waters means the bundling of light, and that's actually referring to our own sun, the central sun in our own solar system, which I call Helios, as I explained in the previous episode. So this is heaven number 4, the heaven of the soul. And again, we can look at the measurement here. The unit of measurement here is AU, which is an astronomical unit. Actually, 1 AU is the distance from our home planet, which I call Terra, to the sun, Helios. The average distance between our home planet and the sun, Helios, is 1 AU. And this is 320 times bigger than that. Or we can say the radius of this sphere is 160 times the distance from our home planet to the sun. 160 times bigger. And you can beautifully see here it's a sphere. It's a sphere. And 1 AU is about 150 million kilometers. Or we can also say 1 AU is about 500 light seconds. That means that it takes, with the speed of light, a little bit over 8 minutes to travel from the sun to our home planet. Yeah, or if we go the other way direction, if we travel with the speed of light, it takes us about 8 minutes, a little bit more, to come from Terra to Helios. That means that the diameter, the radius of this sphere has nearly the same length as the duration of our natural day. So when we make one full rotation around the axis of our home planet, that same time is almost required for the light to leave this sphere. Here again, we see the sphere, and now it's opened up, and in that we can see a disk created by the planets that go around the sun, Helios, the sphere and the disk inside. So at this level of Sol, it's all about the sun Helios. The sun Helios is the ruler at this level of Sol. Now we go to day 4. And again, I'm not explaining every word here. I'm focusing on the structure. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. What it actually says here, signs of the times. That's what it's all about, signs of the times. And what time are we living? As I explained in the previous episode of Pateo TV, I said that we have entered the age of Aquarius, the eon of Aquarius. So how do we know that? That's because of the stars. The stars tell us what age we live in. And to be more precise, we need the planets, because the planets go in front of the fixed stars of the zodiac. Here you see the 12 signs of the zodiac, and here are the symbols of the planets and where they are. Yeah, the wandering lights. And there's much more to say about this. This is the essence of what I call planetary astrology. Some people refer to it as Western astrology, but it's a bit silly because it was already known in ancient Sumer, in ancient Babylon. So it has nothing to do with the West. If we would be correct, we should call it Middle Eastern astrology. But the name Western astrology doesn't make any sense. I prefer to refer to it as planetary astrology because the planets are actually telling us what the time is. The planets are talking about our fate. That's why it's Fata. So these are the planets that go around, and actually the sun, Helios itself too, goes around because that's from our perspective. We go around, but it looks like the sun Helios is going in front of the 12 signs of the zodiac from our perspective, from the surface of our home planet. So it's all about this. The level of Fata is about the planets. And this is an ancient depiction. Yeah, then came Galileo Galilei and Copernicus. And they said this is not true because the sun Helios has to be in the middle. It's not the Earth in the middle. But for many years, people believed that the Earth, our home planet, which I call Terra, was in the center of the universe. And then we encountered the moon, then Mercury, and so on. Now we know that's only an illusion. That's from our perspective. The truth is different. But as we do live on this planet, this is actually our reality. So it's not, I don't think it's wrong to look at it like this. But then it's talking about the energies. Yeah, and it's also the days of the week, as I explained before. This is moon is Monday. Then we go to Mars is Tuesday. Mercury is Wednesday. Thursday is Jupiter Day, Thursday. Venus Day is Freya's Day, is Friday. Saturn Day, Saturday. And then Sunday. And then come back. So these are also the names of the week. These are very important lights because it's all about Fata, fate. The second heaven, the third heaven from below. And the biggest planet of them all is this one, Jupiter. Or you can call Jupiter. This is Jupiter, and you can see here a storm going on. In ancient Greece, he was referred to as Zeus, and as he is the biggest, he was referred to as the king. King Zeus on the Mount Olympus. So he is the ruler at the level of the planets. He's the planetary ruler. And then we go to the level below that, day 5 of the creation, and God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and so on. It's all about living creatures, but then swarms, so there are many of them. And that's true in the microcosm. Like there were swarms of living creatures in the macrocosm, meaning there are many stars, swarms of stars in the macrocosm, there are swarms of living creatures in the microcosm, the me or the my. So that's what it's all about here, our home planets. And this is how our home planet looks like from space. Actually, that's what we think, because I'm questioning more and more the pictures that we see, given to us by NASA, but that's another story. Of course, you all know that NASA means never a straight answer. So what is actually true, I don't think we know that for sure. But I do believe that this is how our planet looks like. But this picture was not taken by any man. It was taken by an automatic satellite, a Voyager, for instance. Anyway, this is the microcosm, and that's where we live in. And indeed, there are swarms of many living creatures. I refer to it as Terra. And Terra, to me, is the ruler at this level. And to me, she is my mother. I have a father who art in heaven, and this is my mother who art in earth. But you can also call her Gaia. Gaia literally means Mother Terra, or Mother Earth. And in ancient Greek, she was called Sophia, because Sophia means wisdom. And when we connect to our mother, then we become wise. And if we connect to our father, then we encourage our thinking, because thinking is electric and wisdom is magnetic. And they are connected. And our mother protects us very well with a magnetic field around us. And all the charged particles cannot come to us. They are pulled in at the North Pole and at the South Pole. So that's why she is protecting us. And that's why the northern and the southern lights are created, the aurora. This is a protection. And that magnetic field of the sun Helios is pushing it to the side. So that's why it's going here to the right-hand side. Because there's a strong energetic current, we could say, coming from the left, going to the right. And this is what we see at our beautiful planet. Indeed, it is filled with swarms of living creatures. And most of them here are mammals, but there are many, many more. Yeah, if we go to the insects and even smaller, to the microorganisms, it's hardly imaginable how many living creatures there are at this planet. It's completely filled with living creatures. Indeed, the word swarms is very correct here. And then we go to the final and last day of the creation, the lowest level, the first heaven, the heaven that is most low. And there's a big mistake in the official translation of the ancient story from Sumer, because in the wrongly translated version, it says, and God said, let God make. But it has to be plural here. God is not talking about himself or herself or itself. God is talking about, we can say, gods that are with a lower g, lowercase g. So the overall God is the creating principle. And then there are smaller gods, actually beings, and those beings came to our home planet and they created us, human beings. We are created by the gods that came to visit us, exactly as I explained in the previous episode when I talked about the legacy of the Dogon people from Africa, West Africa. They talk about people who came from the star system, of the solar system of Sirius. And also the story about Anunnaki. I'm not sure if that's correct, but also they say that creatures from another planet came here and they genetically manipulated the living beings, the natural living beings, into us human beings. I think that is true, but I don't think the Anunnaki created us directly. I think the dolphin people created us, and the Anunnaki people changed us. They made slaves out of us. We were not slaves when we were created by the dolphin people, but the lizard people changed us into their slaves. That's what I think. But I will come back to that later. For now, we stick to the story. And this is a kind of promise, because the promise given to us by God, and that's why it's a very important document, this first story, because we are entitled to rule over this planet. We can be the rulers, but not to be the boss, but more like the shepherd, more like the caretakers. Yeah, we can make sure that everything goes well on this planet. That is our role here. That's why we are here. We have a specific role to play in the in the whole of the ecosystems on this planet. That's our divine role, and we should never forget that. Most of the human beings at this moment have no idea why they are here. They think that they can take everything and they can do everything. That's not true. We have a specific role, and that's what's said here. But only if we are serving on the gods, then we inherit this legacy. Otherwise not. So we can rule, and the key word here is rule. Because if we are not serving on the gods, then there is a default ruler ruling over us. If we are serving God, then God will take care of us, and then we belong to the family of God. But if we do not do that, if we deny God, or we think that God doesn't exist or whatever, then the default ruler takes over and starts to rule over us. And that's the case for almost everyone at this planet at this moment. So it's all about ruling over, to reign or regent. Who is the regent over people who are not serving on the God? That is this planet, or this heavenly body. And some people claim it's not even a natural body. I'm not sure about this. But I am sure that this, whatever this is ruling over people who are not serving under God. So wherever you live on this planet, and if you are not part of the family of God, then you're part of the family of Luna. And if you are ruled by Luna, then you are a lunatic. And many of the people on this planet, and I hope you're not one of them, are lunatics, because they are ruled by the moon, by Luna, whatever this may be. And here we can see a beautiful moonrise over the trees. So she is the default ruler, Luna, default ruler. We can rule here too, but if we don't do that, if we don't do it according to the 10 commandments, I will come back to that later, then we are ruled by Luna, and we are all lunatics. Yeah, of course, Luna plays an important role. The lunar cycle, as I explained previously, is very important to us. The yin half, the under half, and the yang half, the second half. This is science. This is very important to know. But the main question is, are you ruled at the lowest level, or is your conscious higher? And are you at a higher level of consciousness? Here we see the orbits of Luna around our home planet Terra, and part of the time she's in here, and part of the time she's out there. Sometimes it looks she's bigger. I think it has to do with whether she's in or out the magneto tail behind our home planet or around our home planet. I think it's more like an optical illusion, like we're looking at fish in an aquarium. It's the same thing, or in a bowl. And the distance between Luna and our home planet is about 400,000 kilometers. Yeah, a little bit, about 238,000 or 39,000 miles. That's a huge distance. Yeah, when the light bounces back with the speed of light, it's about 1 second takes it to come back here to us, a little bit more. So we can say Luna, which is actually the level of Earth, because this is Earth, a heavenly body made out of Earth, and this heavenly body is mostly made out of water. The surface is 70% or more made of water, and also the atmosphere around it. The white things you see are clouds, and the clouds is also water. So there's a lot of water here. We can say this is a water heavenly body, and this is an Earth heavenly body. And that's why I prefer to name this planet Terra, because it's very confusing now. This is actually Earth, and this is water. Yeah, we have the phenomenon of the high tide. At this side is high tide, and this side is low tide. Like the magnetic field of the Earth is squeezed in, is making smaller on this side and extended on the outside. Also, it's takes too much time to explain all this. So again, we see a kind of disk. At the lowest level, there is a disk. Yeah, the orbit of Luna around Terra creates a disk kind of shape. So now we can put those 6 levels under God in a structure here. Again, the level 0 above this, the level of Dominus, That is gods, and under gods, because God is everything, under gods there is a sphere, the sphere of our universe. In that sphere we find a disk, and that's our own galaxy. In that disk we find another sphere, which is our solar system. And in that sphere we find a disk, which is our planetary system. And in that disk we find a sphere again, which is our home planet. And around our home planet there's a disk again of our lunar system. To me, a sphere is a yin shape and a disk is a yang shape. So it's a beautiful alternating rhythm between yin, yang, yin, yang. And you can also depict it like this. Actually, this graphic or this image is in fact telling the whole story about the first chapter of Genesis, of the story of the creation. Because the greatest circle is the creation of the universe, and in the universe, the Milky Way was created. That's the disk, and in that disk, our solar system was created, and in the solar system, the planetary system is created, and therein is our home planet created, and there we find the lunar system around it. So this image is in fact telling the whole story of the creation, the 6 layers. And at the lowest level, we can indeed find that the world is flat. Of course, it's not literally flat. We cannot fall off with our ships, as the ancient people thought. But it is flat in the sense that we think that our world is flat. Most people think that this is our world. But if you are connected with your mother, I do that every morning with exercises, then my energies goes down to the core of this planet, and they come up again. So, and energetically, I go down. This is a 2D flat world. Most people live in a 2D flat world. They don't go down. They don't go to the core of this planet. They don't connect with our mother. And that's why they live in a flat world. Spiritually, they are flatliners, so to say. Flat worlders. Yeah, only when you see that there is a sphere, then you go to the second heaven. Otherwise, you stay at the lowest level. And that's why they put this image so much on our news channels and so on, so that we can believe that this is our world. But our world is a sphere. And in that sphere, there is a living energy inside. It's a living being. The home planet we live on is a living being. Again, this is the 7 levels, the 7 tones of the scale, but they also correspond to the 7 levels of creation. And that's why we, of course, have these 7 tones to remind us of this. Because now we can combine that, and now we can see the truth. Now we can see the holy science underlying the story of Genesis, the first chapter, and of course our scale is the same. If you read my latest book, I will go into much more detail about the scale, because that's also nearly a lecture on itself. I have not time to do that here, but it's very important. But the scale and the first chapter of Genesis, they combine perfectly together. So at the highest level, there is the supreme God, the God Almighty, the Lord God Almighty. That is the overall ruler, the ruler over everything, everything which is natural. Then we get Mother Mother Dao. She is the ruler of our universe. Then we have a kind of grandfather, because this is our father, so this is the father of our father, so I think this is our grandfather or granddad. Hunapku, as the Maya called him. He is the ruler of our galaxy, our Milky Way. Father Helios is, of course, the ruler of our solar system. King Zeus at the Mount of Olympus is the ruler of the planetary system. Mother Terra is the ruler of our home planet. And then we have Region Luna, the default ruler at the lunar system. And there's an important dotted line here, because we cannot see these 3 higher rulers. We cannot see the center of the galaxy. We cannot see the center of the universe. And we can most of all not see the center of everything, or the whole of everything. But we can see the sun Helios. We can see Zeus. We can see our home planet. And we can see the moon Luna. And this is what we see with our senses. The sun Helios, Jupiter, when we look to a telescope, our home planet, when we look from outside. And this is the moon Luna. This is the earth energy of earth. This is the energy of water. this is the energy of air, and this is the energy of fire. Yeah, again, if you want to know more about these four, which is the basis of holy science, then please read my book or go to another video of mine to explain all that. And when we look at the sizes, there's something remarkable, because when we take the diameter of Luna as 1, then we see that the diameter of the sun Helios is exactly 400 times as big. And Helios is also 400 times as far away from the surface of our home planet. And that's why, from our perspective, this very small heavenly body and this gigantic heavenly body, they look exactly the same when she is in front of him. And then we can see the corona. So that's a really remarkable coincidence. I think it's too remarkable to be actually coincidence. But that's, again, another story. Yeah, and our home planet is about 4 times as big, and this is about 40 times as big. I think that's also remarkable. About 4 times, about 440, and this is actually 400. Exactly 400. Yeah, and there are also different states, aggregational states of matter, as they were called. This is the solid state, fixed. This is the liquid state. Yeah, liquid, fluid. Gas, this is a gas planet. This is a fluid planet, a liquid planet. This is a solid heavenly body, heavenly planet. And this is a plasma heavenly body. Yeah, plasma is coming out. Most people don't know about plasma, but when we ionize gas, make gas more hot, it becomes ionized, and then we get plasma. So this is the 4th state of aggregational states, but actually it's the first one. From the perspective of the universe, from creation, this is the first one. This is where we actually get matter. Then here, and this is the last one. We think it starts with solid, it ends with solid. Solid is the final station. What I've done now is analyzing the text, the words. What I'll do now in the coming part is I will look at the numbers, because each level corresponds to its own number. And of course, the highest level, the level of God, the level of wholeness, is the level of oneness. So that's, of course, the number 1. Everything is one at this level. And also our consciousness can be at this level. That is what holy consciousness, wholeness consciousness is all about. Unity of one. Everything is one. All that lives, all in the universe, is all one. Then we arrive at the level of 2, the second creational layer, the heaven under God, heaven number 6 of Sidera, the duality, 2. And you can see this is light and darkness, or yin and yang. So that's number 2. And then we go to number 3, because the Milky Way is actually a trinity. We saw that Hunabku was the giver of time and measurement. Well, space has 3 dimensions, as I explained in the first episode of Pateo TV, and time has 3 dimensions, and space too. So they're all trinities, and there are many, many more trinities. And in basics, we can say a trinity is always divided by a positive, a negative, and something neutral. That's how we can see it. Light, darkness, and something in the middle. And now we go to the level of soul. And actually soul, om, and on are 3 words that all refer to the sun. So you can also say this is a trinity, the trinity of the sun. And the number here is 6. This is the seal of Solomon. Yeah, this has nothing to do, as I explained before, with Judaism. This is the seal of the sun, of soul, of om, of on. On was the ancient Egyptian or Kemetic name. The city of On later was named Heliopolis by the Greek, but it was actually the city of On, the city of the sun. And Om from India is also reference to the sun. So Sol, Om, On. It's all about the sun. And it has 6 points. It's a 6-pointed star, a hexagram. And it's a double trinity, you could say, or a triple duality, how you look at it. But the number 6 is for the soul. Soul is 6. So this is the seal of the sun. So number 1 is the level of God. 2 is the level of all the stars, duality between yin and yang. 3 is the number of the Trinity, the 3 oneness. And then we have the 6 oneness. And that's the level of soul. And this symbol is representing that 6 oneness, 6-parted oneness. And then we get a 12-parted oneness of the zodiac, the 12 signs of the zodiac. We see 12 here, or the 12 apostles, the 12 sentinels. It's all here, 12. That's why we have 12 hours on our clock. It's all representing to the same here, givers of time. Yeah, signs of the times. Then 24. In a full rotation of our home planet, we have 24 hours. So that's here. 24 corresponds to our home planet. And finally, we get 48, which is the lowest one. We can say people who are at the lowest level of consciousness, they have the most amount of laws to live under. Yeah, there's a book written, the 48 Laws of Power. So the lower your consciousness is, the lower the heaven, the more laws are applying on you, the less free you are. Now we go to the geometry. The same thing, but now from the holy geometry, or some people call it sacred geometry. It's the very same thing. I show the same numbers. It starts with the geometry of Do. And this is, of course, this is my best picture of God. I cannot draw any better picture of God than this. So this is God, the perfect circle, the oneness, the wholeness, the holy circle. You can write it in different spellings, but it means the same. Or you can say holy means full of holes. Yeah, everything that the religion calls holy, there are many holes in those stories. But when you make it a holy story with W-double-L, then you fill in the holes and then you find the truth. So it's sacred, or is it secret? Many things, the missing parts here, creating the holes, they are kept secret. But if you know the truth, then you understand it's sacred, it's holy. And to make it heal means to make it whole again. Healing makes it whole, makes it a unity again. That's the essence of healing. So this is the symbol of Do, of one, of God, oneness. Now we go from Do to Si, to the duality. And this is the symbol for the duality. This is geometry of Si. Duality, 2 parts, a yin and a yang part. And the middle, in between, that's the Vesica Piscis. So this to me is also the symbol for duality. And you can also use, of course, the symbol, Tao. So it's a 1/2. I use this symbol, a circle divided in 2 halves. It's the same circle of God, but now we see 2 parts. We see yin and yang. We had 1 circle, we added 1. And please notice that the heart of the next circle is always on the perimeter of the previous circle. So this heart is on the perimeter of the first one. And because of that, this perimeter goes exactly to the heart of the other circle as well. So they are connected, heart to heart. And here you find the heart of the third circle, exactly at the crossing of those 2. So this is the symbol for the Trinity, the geometry of La. And when you connect the middles of these 3 circles, you get this triangle. And you can also connect the crossing points of the 2 lines. Then you get also a triangle. Or you accentuate where 2 or more circles are together. Then you get this beautiful symbol. Yeah, it's kind of infinity symbol, but then a little bit different. Many ancient churches and cathedrals have this in the windows. It's a reference to the Trinity. I refer to the Trinity as a circle with a triangle inside, dividing the circle into 3 parts. So I use this symbol for the Trinity. 1 circle, 2 circles, 3rd circle. Now we add another one. Yeah, we put the center of the compass here and we draw another one. Then we get this. This is not holy geometry. This is not in balance. This not. This not. Whoa. You see the beauty? This is again in balance. This is a geometry of soul. And now we've seen that we have drawn 6 circles around the original one. So that's the number 6, the hexad, 1/6. And when we connect those crossing points in the center, then we get the hexagon, the 6-sided rectangular, the six-sided shape. And of course, our honeybees, they know everything about this. So it's a very natural shape. And when we connect those points with this, we get the pentagram. So the pentagram is inside the pentagon. This is the seal of Solomon. Solomon, Sol, the seal of the sun. That's why this is referring to the six-parted unity, the level of Sol. So we have one, other one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in total, 1 in the middle and 6 around it. So 1 plus 6. Then we continue. Continue here. Oh, sorry, this is the seed of life. The seed of life is this beautiful geometry. This holy geometry is called the seed of life. And when you take these three letters, S-O-L, it's Sol again. Is this a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence. Actually, I don't believe anything. I just see what I see. So now we continue. 1 extra, 2 extra, 3 extra, 4, 5, 6 extra. It looks a bit okay, but it's not really finished yet. So let's continue. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 extra. And now it looks complete. Now it looks finished. And again, this is holy geometry. This is the geometry of Fa. And this is the dozen, because there were 12 circles around the 6 of the previous shape. So dozen, we still have the word dozen, means 12-parted unity. And when we make all the circles equal as the one in the middle, so meaning 6 petals, so to say, going in each direction, and also 6 around it, then we get this shape. And this is also a very beautiful shape, very ancient. You can find it in ancient Kemet. It's called the flower of life. And it's a 12-parted unity. I will not do all the other circles as well. Now we jump to the next level, and that's the geometry of Mi. And that's 24 circles we get now around the previous level of 12. So it's doubling from 12 to 24. 24-parted unity. And you can also, this is how I draw it. And this is also a remarkable shape, because if you look at it, maybe it's possible to see, you can see a sort of cube. And now I accentuated 13 circles, 1 in the middle, and then 6 around it, and in the same direction, 1 more each direction. So we get in total 13 circles, and the number 13 is also very important. This is the cube you could have seen, the hexagon, hexahedron, sorry. And when you use these lines, then you can find all the platonic solids actually as a kind of two-dimensional shadow, because this is called the cube of Metatron. And these are the platonic solids, or the two-dimensional shadows, I can better say, of those of the platonic solids. Yeah, for instance, this is the cube of the hexahedron. You can clearly see it. It has 6 sides, so it's hexahedron. This is a dodecahedron. It has 12 pentagon-sided faces. This is the icosahedron. It has 20 triangular faces. And this is the octahedron. It has 8 triangular faces. And this is the tetrahedron. It has 4 faces. You can see the 3 here, and at the back side there's a 4. And you can make another one behind it, and then you combine them, 2 tetrahedrons in one shape, and that's called a star tetrahedron. And here you see the two-dimensional shadow of the star tetrahedron, which is actually the same shape. And the star tetrahedron is also called the Merkaba, or the light vehicle of light. Yeah, in one of the other presentations I'll probably go into this more deeply, because our spirit actually travels in this light vehicle. And there's a yang and a yin shape, but I will not go into that. Then we jump to the last level, the one with the most circles. And if you count now the outer ring, you find that there are 48 circles, and that's the geometry of Re. 1/48. And this is how I depict it with my symbol. Yeah, a circle divided in 48 equal parts. And the shape that we see, other way around, the shape that we still see is the 6-sided shape, the hexagon shape. Yeah, it was already present at the level of soul, but it stayed the same. It's only getting bigger and bigger, but the shape stays the same. And when we look at cymatics, we find the same structure, 6 directions, or a six-sided shape. So the number 6 is very important. Yeah, this is actually the core of creation, understanding this. Cymatics is the shapes that we get when we change the frequencies of sound. Yeah, if you're not familiar with this, just look it up on the internet. There are many videos explaining it, but it's very remarkable. A different frequency of sound creates a different shape. So what we see from left to right is the ray of creation. It starts with the unity of everything, of oneness, of wholeness, then the duality, then the trinity, then the 6-parted unity, then the 12-parted, 24-parted, and finally the most divided part is the 48-parted reality of Re, which is the lowest heaven. And we can also call the lowest heaven the hell. Yeah, there are 7 heavens, but the lowest one we can also refer to as the hell. So in the hell, there's the most division. And we all know the saying, divide and conquer. That's going on here extremely. Divide, and the people who want to control, they want to conquer. But the way of getting out of the hell is the other way. That we call the stairway of ascension. So this is how everything is created, from unity into diversity, and our consciousness is doing the opposite when we take the stairway of ascension. From diversity we go back to unity. Out of many, one. We go here and we go here. Now let us look at the chakras, because there's also 7, and there are many more examples about 7-parted unities, or 7 layers actually. There's a lot of confusion, we can actually say mistakes about the chakras. The number 1 mistake is that people refer to as the middle chakra as the heart chakra. That is absolutely wrong. The heart has nothing to do with this. The heart is something totally else. The heart is not a chakra. The second most common mistake is that people assume that the crown chakra is highest located. Its located is highest. That is not true. It's not located highest. It's the one up highest. I will show that. And the base chakra is not located lowest either. Actually, it's the 2 but lowest. So the positioning of those chakras, people have no idea what the chakras really are. And that's all because of New Age. New Age is a belief system. And that belief system was not based on solid ground. There's a lot of assumptions which are totally wrong, totally erroneous. So if I can give you a sincere advice, forget everything that New Age has ever told you, because almost everything is not true. Simply start afresh. Break down this house called New Age and start afresh. We are now living in the new time, but the New Age nonsense is not helping us at all. It has to do with the energies. Here you see the 7 colors, and it's common to use those colors to refer to the 7 chakras. And on top of the highest color, the most fastest vibrating color, we find this is violet, and ultraviolet is on top of that. And ultraviolet is actually the energy coming from the sun. Ultraviolet light is coming from the sun. And the sun is our father, or pater in Latin. He is our pa, or daddy. And this is our mater in Latin, mother, mother. And mother radiates warmth, and warmth is infrared. This is red, and directly below the red we find infrared. So infrared is the energetic color of our mother, and ultraviolet is the energetic color of our father. And when we are using our 7 chakras, when they are functioning all, then we connect our mother with our father. Then we are a child of both who connects his parents with each other. That's what we are meditating. Our Father who art in heaven is of course the sun, Helios, as I explained in the previous episode, and our Mother who art in earth is the planet that we live upon. It's a water planet we live upon, and the sun Helios is a plasma, is a fire ball up in the air, up in the sky. And we connect fire with water. Those are the two opposites. And we connect both opposites. Infrared is the color of our mother, it's warmth. Ultraviolet light coming from our father. And in between we find the 7 colors of the rainbow, the 7 colors of our chakras, because these are the 7 chakras. And these are the names from ancient India. Muladhara is the base chakra, is on the lowest one. Sahistana, is the one then. Manipura, Anahata, Vishuddhi, Aina, and Sahasrara. Those are the 7 names from ancient India in Sanskrit. And they have meaning. Yeah, for instance, Sahasrara means 1,000. I will come back to that because when there is a number, I'm always very interested in the meaning of that number. And 1,000 is a very clear number. Aina means monitoring center. And we'll come back to that, why that is, because this is the most important chakra, I think, for monitoring what is going on inside of us. It's the kind of control room, we can say. This is purifying. And it's here. Anahata means unbeaten. Yeah, it's showing to our core. And if our core is unbeaten, nobody can beat us. Manipura is about the will. What do we want? Yeah, to manipulate. That's the word manipulate comes from Manipura. So it's about willpower. And this is the place of our own residence because these are the reproductive organs here. So our own residence is here, that level. And this is the foundation. Muladhara means foundation. And there are numbers here as well. Yeah, when you look at the petals, this has 4 petals, so this is number 4. This one has 6, so the 6. This one has 10. If you count them, you get the number 10. And if you count here, you get the number 12. And if you count here, you get the number 16. Those numbers are not coincidental. It's absolutely meaningful, but you need to understand the meaning of it. And the meaning is very simple, because here you only count 2. So what does it mean, 2? It means that we have to add up these ones. So 4 plus 6 plus 10 plus 12 plus 16 is total 48. And when we multiply 48 with 2, we get 96. So that's why the number 96 is here. And when we add up these numbers together, then we get 144. And when we multiply 144 with 1,000, that's why it's 1,000, we get 144,000. That is the meaning here. And 144,000 is also in the Bible. And it's also in the Mayan calendar, as I will explain in the 6th episode of Pateo TV. So it is very meaningful. Now we come to the entrance points and the directions. Because the highest, the crown chakra and the base chakra, they are oriented vertically. So this one is going up, receiving energy from above, and this one is receiving energy from below. And the other 5 in the middle, they receive energy horizontally. So from the front or from the back. Here you can see it more clearly. Actually, the energy is going through the feet all the way up. I can feel the energy when they come through my feet, through my legs up. I can feel it. And I can also feel, right now I actually do, when there is energy coming in my skull from the top. But do not think that there is a chakra here. That's not true. And there's no chakra here either. There are just the entrance points, the entrances. This is another ancient picture. This used to be in the university books, but before the World War II, before the Second World War. But it was removed because it's too revealing. You can see 5 chakras and then an entrance at the top and an entrance at the bottom. This is absolutely correct with all the energy shields or spheres around us. It was too revealing. That's why it was removed. So now we look at the entrance. For every one of us, the crown chakra receives energy from above. And for every one of us, the base chakra receives energy from below. So this is the energy coming from our mother. This is the energy coming from our father. This is from the light. This is from the daylight, and this is from the cosmic radiation, you can say. This is from the earth, the radiation from the earth. Then the 5 in the middle depend on whether you are more yin or more yang. I'll explain it very prototypically, so I hope you get not offended by what I'm saying here. But in general, we can say in a heterosexual relation between a yin and a yang, between a female and a male, that the reproduction is going like this. There's something coming out of the reproductive organs of the yang, and it's going into the reproductive organ of the female, the yin. So they're out, they're in. And yellow has to do with willpower, and in our society, it's about money. So you can say in a typical heterosexual relationship, the yang brings the money in, and the yin, the female, makes sure the money goes out again. This is about connecting to other people. And in ancient times, it was not good for a woman to take the first step. So the first step, the outgoing movement, comes from yang, and the female, the yin, has to wait for that. Otherwise, she is, no, I'm not using any curse words here. And then the throat chakra, it's also called, here, the thyroid, I'll come back to that. It has to do with speech. And that's why most men are getting tired by women who talk too much, because the energies go out from the mouth or the throat from the female, yin, and go in by the man. But if it's too much, the man cannot handle this. And then the yang goes to visit other men where there is not much talk and there's much more quietness. And then this has to do with vision. And you can say the typical yin requires that there is vision from the yang. The yang has to express the vision, and the yin wants to dig into that, wants to connect to that. Yeah, so the initiative is here. So it makes perfect sense. Another beautiful alternating rhythm. This is what I showed in the first episode of Pateo TV. Yeah, the Great Pyramid of Giza. This is the King's Chamber, it's called. Actually, it's the chamber of Osiris. And this is the chamber of Isis. And we could say maybe this is the chamber of Horus, who knows. But we call it now the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber. But this is not the highest chakra. Actually, the Sahasrara, the highest chakra, is here. This is the highest chakra. And Aina, that is here, the King's Chamber. And Vishuddhi is here. So this is number 5, this is number 7, and this is number 6. Very confusing to people. Because the energies for the number 7, they come in from the top and they spiral all the way down to here. Yeah, when we look at our head, energies come here, they spiral in, and they go all the way down to here, to the pituitary gland. I will go back to the glands. Yeah, so this is chakra number 7, the crown chakra, and this is what some people call the third eye chakra, the pineal gland. And here's the thyroid gland. That is the 5th chakra. And that is exactly the way it is built in the Great Pyramid. It's so fascinating to see that. Yeah, can you see the one-on-one match here? The positioning. They knew all about this. So again, this is a trinity. Actually, this is the chamber of the sun. This is the chamber of the moon. And this is the chamber of the stars. Or what I explained in the first episode, the solar cult, the lunar cult, and the stellar cult. They all had a chamber in the Great Pyramid. A trinity. And here you see the eye. People call it the eye of Horus, but actually it's more the eye of Isis, because it is about the pineal gland. Sorry, the eye of Osiris. What you see here. Yeah, you see here the brain structure, and it looks a bit, when you have a little bit of imagination, what is drawn here. Can you see the resemblance? So it's all about the pineal gland. The pineal gland is located here. And it looks a bit like a pine cone. Yeah, this is the staff of Osiris with a pine cone on top. This is the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is the gland of Osiris. This is the gland of Osiris. This is the gland of Isis, and this is the gland of Horus, so to say. Oh, wrong direction. So the pineal gland is the gland of Osiris, and that's why it's here, on the staff of Osiris. And of course, you find many of those references also in the Vatican, because the Vatican knows much more than they are telling. They're telling bollocks to people, but the truth is hidden in the basements. All the very important books are hidden there for the public. I think it's time that we break the basement open and share the knowledge there. This is what we find at the St. Peter's Square. Of course, this is the pineal gland. Yeah, and the staff here, pineal gland too. Ancient Babylon, pineal gland, pineal gland, pineal gland, pineal gland. All those pine cone shapes are all reference to the pineal gland. And why? Because it's the most important gland to regulate the hormones internally. But when you use too much fluoride, when you brush your teeth with fluoride, then this gland starts to defunction, starts to shrivel down, becomes smaller, and it's not functioning well anymore. I think the ancient Comitians knew how to stimulate this gland even more, and in their time it was gigantic. Maybe that's why they had huge skulls. Who knows? So again, the pituitary gland is receiving energy from the top, but it's not the highest. And the adrenal glands receive energy from the bottom, but it's not the lowest. Actually, the chakras number 3 and 2 are below it. Yeah, because the testis for the males and the ovary for the female, that is where we find the second chakra. And the third chakra is the pancreas. And the fourth one in the middle, that's the thyma. The thyma is the most central one. It's a very important gland. The thyroid gland is number 5, and the pineal gland is number 6, or the third eye chakra. And what those glands do, they create hormones. And hormones is literally setting into motion. The hormones setting our physical body into motion on the basis of the energies that they receive. Because this one is responding to earth energy, the second one to water energy, the third one to air energy, and the fourth one to fire energy. And I'll come back to that because this is actually the sun. The sun is responding to the fire. This is sound. Yeah, I make now the sound is coming from here. Yeah, and my thyroid is there, is the gland close to that. Pineal gland is responding to electromagnetic information, yeah, day-night rhythm, cardiac circadian rhythms, and the highest one is receiving cosmic information from the ether. And these are some hormones they make. Yeah, more of them. Yeah, this is of course only for male. Most of the male, but anyway. There are many other hormones as well, but they make hormones. That's the essence here. And the planets are very important too. Because Luna is the lowest one. Luna is connected to the base chakra. Mercury to this one. Venus, Helios, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and so on. And that's the same ordering as I explained in the days of the week. The very same ordering. We just have to put the menorah sideways or twist it a little bit. Then we see the same ordering. And the middle one, the sun Helios, is here. And that's fire. Fire is Helios. And how do we open up these chakras? Well, it has to do with if they are blocked or not. If we are fearful, then the base chakra is blocked. And only by embracing all our fears, then we become fearless. When we still have guilt, feelings of guilt about ourselves or others, feel that they are guilty, as long as we do not forgive, this chakra is blocked. As long as we are shameful of ourselves, of others, as long as there is shame in our system and we not accept the way it is, then this one is blocked. When we are still have grief, when we are sad or whatever, pain of loss or misery, when we grieve, we block. When we release it, then it becomes to flow again. This chakra starts to rotate because chakra means rotating wheel of energy. This wheel starts to rotate then. As long as we are lying to each other or to ourselves, this chakra is blocked. We need to free ourselves from all lies. We have to stop lying. And that's very difficult because we are so fond of telling little lies, especially to ourselves. Illusion, that's the blockage here. If we still live in an illusion, and most people do live in an illusion because they watch television, that's the biggest illusion here. Because they think that money is valuable, that's another illusion. And there are many, many more. They think that their ego is controlling, is in control. That's an illusion too. Our ego is not controlling, should not be in control. Ego is just an illusion that we created ourselves. Only through insight we can free ourselves from illusion. That's what holy science is doing. Yeah, these ones you all can do yourself, but you need insight to free yourselves from illusions. That is what what holy science is all about. And this one you have to do yourself. You have to detach yourself from all attachments. Release yourself, free yourself from attachments. Only when you are fully detached, then the last and highest wheel starts to rotate. So make sure that you have none of these blockades, hinderings. So it's a stairways to heaven. 7 steps between the lowest and the highest one. And there are many, many examples of 7. I have no time to explain them all here because I'm already running out of time. I strongly recommend you to buy this book. The price is not that high, and I explain everything about the 7 hermetic principles, the 7 stages of alchemy, 7 days of creation I explained here already. The 7 tones of the scale are fully explained there too. The wandering lights I explained the previous times during the days of the week. There are also 7 internal centers in us, and the Kabbalah has 7 levels. They're all in this book explained. 7 liberal arts, or liberating arts I prefer to call them. If you don't know them, then you cannot liberate yourself. You need to be master of these arts in order to liberate yourself. Nobody can free you, as I explained before. So these arts are explained here as well. The heavens I explained here, the 7 planes from India, it's also in the book. The chakras I just explained, and the 7 realms, the 7 kingdoms. And you can also see a big 7 here. Yeah, there's another 7. Let's go back. How? Spoil the joke. This is a big 7 actually. The 7 itself is representing the 7 steps of the stairways. And 7 up. Why do you think this logo was created? It's the very same. 7 steps upwards. So if you want to learn more about this, again, do yourself and also me a big favor and yeah, buy this book, I would say. The price is not too big, I hope. You can start with the first 2 chapters, and if you like it, you buy the even more. But €5 or $6 83, I think that's affordable, I hope. And if you want to learn more, you want to spend a week filled with holy science in a beautiful atmosphere, then please join me in the month of April. There are 2 weeks you can choose from, or you can also do both of them. Next week, I will talk about covert symbolism, as I announced at the beginning of this episode. $1 bill, the 5 films, and of course also a lot about Star Wars, so it's actually a 6th film. And I think you will be blown away by the meaning of this symbolism, especially what's on the backside of the USA dollar bill. Many parts are released before, many have revealed it as well, but I don't think anyone has revealed the whole picture here. And after that, in 2 weeks' time, I will bust some myths. One myth is that there actually were planes flying in the Twin Towers. And another myth is that there were men with the Apollo 11 mission brought to the moon and came back. I will explain, fully explain, I'll come with hard evidence why those myths are not true. I will bust them. And there were many, many more myths as well. And as I said before, many people are living in a world of illusions because they believe in these myths. So do yourself a favor and study them and join me in that episode and see if you can agree with my debunking, with my myth busting. And in 3 weeks' time from now, I will talk about the Mayan calendars. There's so much to say about this. Many people yeah, we're thrilled about the year 2012 because the long count calendar of the Mayan ended. But there is much more to tell about this, and also the very important Solkin calendar of the Mayans is very important to know all about this. So I will spend 2 hours time explaining the different calendars of the Mayan, because the Maya had more than one calendar. In total, they had, I think, 17 different ones. So talking about the Mayan calendar is absolutely ridiculous because there are many. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Pateo TV. If you like it, and if you've liked it, if you enjoyed it, then you can also make a donation, which is really good, which is really appreciated. But if you don't want to spend money, then I would ask you, make sure that 2 more people are watching this video, or next time tuning in at the live broadcast of Pateo TV. So you can pay either with money, or you can pay by spreading the word and make sure that more people are joining in. I thank you in advance for that. Namaste.